I think our special guest today might still be out of breath after taking the giant leap of faith they just took. Jason and Kaitlyn, welcome to Spirit 105.3. So you two sold your house and hit the road. You're living full-time in a travel trailer. Why did you make this big decision?
That's a good question.
So really, there's quite an extended story of backup, but it comes down to really just a journey of yeses to God, all of which became increasingly more crazy
Yeah.
as we went along. If I look back from my old life, this has been a dream of mine since I was, 5 or 6 or something, playing with Legos in the basement.
Wow.
Building RVs and campers, and I had like figurines and stuff that I played with, but they went, all over the country and everything. And it was always something that was kind of instilled in me from a young age that I really wanted to do, but had no, practical reason why necessarily. And through a series of events over the last couple of years, we felt like God was asking us to make kind of a big move. And it took a really long time to figure out exactly what he was asking. And we kind of went back and forth between, are we called to move somewhere? Because we were thinking maybe out west, because that was sort of what we were, dreaming of a year or two ago, thinking like, Colorado, Wyoming sort of area. But when it came down to it, we kind of got to a crossroads, and it was like, we really don't know exactly what we're supposed to do, so we're just going to take a trip out there. So last October, we flew out to Denver, rented a Ford Transit camper van.
With our 2 kids.
Yes, with the kids. No heat. And late October, it's cold in Colorado, which we realized, thankfully, before we left, and we bought sleeping bags and stuff for the kids. We drove around. Really, the intent was to just kind of drive around and pray over cities and destinations and are we being asked to move somewhere out here? And we kind of got to this point where we were actually in Yellowstone National Park, the Grand Canyon of Yellowstone. Maybe Kaitlyn could pick it up a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like a good thing to mention is that we've been on a journey with dreams in general, because I am a person that just naturally comes by liking to dream big, just liking to stay in my daydreams.
Yes.
And think about hypotheticals and what could be, and even in the creative realm of, I just really enjoy creating things artistically, and that poured over into dreaming about travel and going off into the world and everything. So we've been looking at what God says about dreams. And if checking out dreams in the Bible, he gives some big dreams.
Wow.
Crazy dreams. We're looking at the stairway to heaven kind of dream, or the dream of Abraham that you and your barren wife are going to have descendants as numerous as the stars, or even, Moses, who had a speech impediment, but God told him that you're going to help free my people, all these things. And it just kind of hit us how small we believe that God's dreams are in our life. And we were looking around and realized we loved our life. We were so blessed. We were with both of our parents and our family. Everything made sense. Jason had a great job. Our kids were loving the community. So it didn't make sense that we felt like something was missing. So we just started diving into that and asked God with hands wide open, is there something we're missing? We want to say yes to whatever. And then he answered big.
Wow. And you were kind of saying your dreams don't have to stop because you've got kids, which really intrigues me.
And I think that's been a big thing that we're learning through this. It's very easy with kids and just being influenced by other people who also have kids, talking about, oh, well, if you have kids, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. And realizing that you really can't. The kids are not that bad. They're not that hard.
Yeah.
Even starting with our youngest, since he was born, we've traveled, we've done big trips with him. We've taken him we took him to Hawaii when he was a year and a half or something. We did a 9-hour plane ride with him, and we take him to restaurants. We go on trips all the time. And just realizing that, yes, it's different, and there are definitely unique challenges to traveling with kids, especially in a trailer.
Yeah.
Yes.
In a kid's space.
What are some of those challenging parts?
Honestly, they're not as bad as we anticipated. In our minds, we thought it was just going to be crazy going from, our house wasn't huge, but it was 1,700 square feet, and we were suddenly going to,
200?
Yeah, 200 maybe, if
Wow.
we were maximizing the space.
Wow.
But they've loved it. I think the challenges have been both kids went from having separate rooms to sharing a room. We suddenly had a room that was like only a door away from them.
Yes.
And having to rely on like water wasn't necessarily a given. Like there were places we were that we couldn't just turn on the shower or turn on the sink. The water wasn't coming out. And there's these things that used to be just natural things you'd have in the house, like electricity, like water, like hot water. And then suddenly we had to be more mindful, or even laundry. For a while, I had to like hand wash some of our laundry because we were out in a state park. And it was just interesting to see these things that we just don't even think about.
Right. Absolutely. And what about the awesome parts? Like, what would you say you wouldn't trade for all the tea in China, as they say?
I mean, I think we really just love being able to experience the world maybe in a different light, a different way, because I think we've both become, I don't want to say complacent, but you get very used to your surroundings when you live in one place. Especially for me, I've lived in one place my entire life. I was born and raised in Virginia, same city essentially. So being able to travel around and experience different people and different cultures and different places and different aspects of, just creation is really cool. And it's an experience that we never would have been able to do really in a house, or even with keeping a house and not selling it.
And seeing our toddler experience it, because our oldest, he just turned 3, but the amount of perception he has for everything. I mean, we'll go on hikes, and his response to seeing something amazing, whether it be Yellowstone or amazing trees, or even looking in a river and seeing like a manatee swim by, is, wow, I can't believe God did that. Which is just crazy to us because it wasn't necessarily something that we said as often as we should, but he just gets it. Like he's just experiencing things with such a different perspective, and seeing him open up and be comfortable with talking to people and excited to interact with people that are different than him has just been really cool.
That is amazing. Now, how are you guys making this work? Like, do you work remotely? How does that work?
That's a good question.
Well, I do work remotely. My job was not remote, but when COVID happened and everybody got sent home and everything, we started working from home. And I guess my company kind of realized, as a lot of other ones did, that working from home was not so bad. And it really wasn't that much different than being in the office, because everything I do, I'm a stress analyst for an engineering company. So everything that I do is running programs on the computer, and you can do that through VPN on a network from anywhere. And once we started, realizing that this was what God wanted us to do, I talked to my boss and was like, hey, I know I'm sort of halfway remote, quote unquote, but it's not official. Could we make it official? And he's been absolutely fantastic through all of this, and just understanding and, going to different people and asking for permission for the stuff that I needed and everything to do that. And they've been seriously accommodating. Basically, I have a fully remote contract now, doing exactly the same job with the same people that I did before. And we've just purchased a Wi-Fi hotspot, essentially.
It's just remarkable to me how God works, and everything is kind of a stepping stone. You're working from home a little while, you see the possibility. He's so cool like that. So I'm wondering, how are you seeing him work in this adventure so far? What has he shown you?
Man, that's my favorite question. Because it's like every day that we wake up, in all honesty, no cliches or cheesiness, we just see him in completely new ways, but it is the same God. Like, he's just so faithful. And like, even from the beginning when we started this, a big thing that I heard like way back, it was many years ago, but they were saying like God is a wow God, not a how God.
Ooh.
Meaning like he knows the details, and we don't necessarily need to. We just stand back and say wow God and watch him do his thing. And I mean, he's done that from the beginning, even with Jason's work, even from when he was little. Like he got this dream. We had his desires. We didn't know how it was going to happen. So we laid at God's feet and said, if this is your will, let it be done. And then Jason dared to start asking the questions when prompted. And I started looking into how the kids would react and things we could form to help do this, to make it work for them. And it just started happening. Like, we couldn't take credit. And I love that, because as soon as we tell anybody about this, all we can say is like, look what God did. And there's so many people that weren't even open to the conversation of what God was doing in our lives that are now having those conversations, because they can't deny that something bigger than us made this all happen.
Oh, I got the good chills. I will never forget that. He's a wow God, not a how God. Like, I feel as if I need to cross-stitch that. Listen, that is amazing. So what are your kids' names?
Elliot and Lisette.
Okay, so when Elliot and Lisette grow up, what do you want them to say about this adventure that you've taken them on?
Well, that's such an interesting thing to think about.
Yeah.
But I love that. I hope that they look back and they say that they just experienced God in a different way. Like they saw God in everyone and everything and had fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I hope that it gives them just a broader perspective and appreciation for the world around them so that they understand that there are people out there that are not like us. There are places that are not like home, quote unquote. And all of those things and all of those places were made by God, and he calls us to all of them.
Yeah,
so
and
that's cool.
The fact that was a big thing for us when we were considering dreaming, because our first reaction to wanting to do something that was out of the comfort of what we were was, well, we don't want to damage the kids. And we were just so convicted with the thought that we don't want the kids to grow up and ask why we didn't do something that God asked us to do and us to say they were the reason.
Oh.
So we're just hoping that it becomes something that they are like, if God says to do something, there should be no other reason why not to do it.
Oh, I love your story so much. And I want to encourage you because, my husband and I, we moved to the Northwest. It's been almost 5 years ago now. And our kids were, in high school at the time. And that's really tough. That's tough stuff right there. But we have seen them grow. We've seen God work in their lives here, 3,000 miles away from everything that was familiar. East and West Coast, very different. But we've seen him work in our lives, and it's really beautiful. And so I can relate to you in a smaller way and just say that I am just amazed and inspired by what you guys are doing, and I hope you'll keep us posted.
Yeah,
Thank
definitely.
you.
Thank you so much.
Well, Jason and Kaitlyn, thanks for being on Spirit 105.3 today, and God bless you both and your whole amazing family. I just know God is going to continue to lead you every step of the way. How can we follow you on this adventure?
All right, well, we do have a YouTube and Instagram page that we just keep updated and hopefully inspire people with tips on how to adventure more with families. Both of them are Big Bison and the Wildflower.
Oh, thank you guys. You're going to inspire so many people, and I will let you know when this is going to air.
Well, thank you so much.
God
Awesome.
bless you
Thanks.
all.